Hello, I'm Dr. Judy Ho, and welcome to Mental Health Bites. In this podcast, we'll talk about a timely topic related to mental health, answer your burning questions, and I'll also leave you with an actionable tip to improve your mental wellness every single day. I'm a clinical and forensic neuropsychologist, tenured professor at Pepperdine University, and the author of Stop Self Sabotage and the New Rules of Attachment. Now, let's get to the timely topic of today. I want to talk to you about seasonal affective disorder. Most people think about this as being associated with the winter months, but did you know that there's a small part of the population that actually suffers from more severe depressive symptoms in the summertime? This is called summer seasonal affective disorder or the summer blues. This is not as well known as winter seasonal affective disorder, which is thought to affect about 5% of the population. Summer seasonal affective disorder affects about 1 to 2% of the population, but nevertheless, it is a real phenomenon. So, here's some interesting facts about summer seasonal affective disorder. So, people with winter seasonal affective disorder tend to feel more tired and might put on weight, but people with summer seasonal affective disorder actually often lose their appetites and feel more agitated than their winter seasonal affective disorder counterparts. And people who have winter seasonal affective disorder, they can't wait to spring ahead, but people suffering from summertime version of this condition cringe when the hot weather months arrive because that's kind of a trigger for their symptoms. So most of the times we think that sunlight has a huge role in our mood. Of course, we need vitamin D. Generally, when people are feeling depressed, it might be beneficial for them to take a vitamin D supplement if that might play a role, especially if they're going to their doctor and their doctor's confirming that they have low vitamin D. That might be a natural recommendation that some doctors might make. But interestingly, there's some research coming out of Penn State University that shows that too much sunlight might actually disturb a person's mood too. So if you have too much sunlight, that could actually be a mood disruptor. And here's how that happens. An excess of bright light can actually slow melatonin production. We need a good amount of melatonin because it is responsible for us getting adequate and quality sleep. If someone has insomnia, that can be a trigger for depression symptoms. So, a decreased level of melatonin is also sometimes associated with levels of serotonin. Serotonin is associated with feelings of calmness, of wellness, and it's generally associated with the feel good hormones in our brain. Some of you might know this, but the most popular antidepressant medication acts on your serotonin neurotransmitters. It's trying to increase the level of serotonin in your brain. So it has a huge impact on mood. So serotonin and melatonin together affect both mood and sleep. So when you have too much sunlight, it can actually disrupt this process, causing a cascading effect into potential depression symptoms. Also, for some people, the high temperatures of summer can feel oppressive and uncomfortable. Did you know that there are higher rates of violent and aggressive acts in areas of the world where they have extreme summertime temperatures? So, there is a lot of research that suggests that hot weather can make people feel agitated and irritable, and it might lead to impulsive behaviors. It can also affect your exercise routine. I'm a runner and I know that I feel better running when the weather is a little cooler. It's really uncomfortable to run in the hot weather. And so when people are not exercising regularly, not taking care of their bodies as well as they should, that could also be a trigger for depression symptoms. So that's another potential role in why summertime hot weather could actually impact your mood and the symptoms that are associated with clinical depression. While the negative impacts of summer heat might seem unavoidable, there are ways to plan ahead. So think about exercise routines that you can do at home, hopefully in a cold environment, as opposed to doing things in the sun, outdoors. And you can also try to strategize on when you're going to get sun during the day and when you're going to be away from the sun. So there's a moderate level of sun exposure. If you know that your sleep is starting to be disrupted, there are behavioral activities that you can do to try to wind down before you go to sleep. Make sure also that you keep your room as much as possible at a lower temperature when you're trying to sleep. So, research shows that somewhere between 65 to 68 degrees is actually the ideal temperature for the room for you to get good quality sleep. Now, obviously, everybody's on a spectrum and it's different, but that does suggest that if your room is a bit too hot, it can also disrupt your mood if you're already susceptible to summertime blues. So, we are going to talk about more tips on how to improve your mood during the actionable tips segment of this podcast. Today's question comes from Tara, who asked me on Instagram, how do I know if I have the summertime blues, if I have the wintertime blues, or if I'm just going through a rough time in my life? So that's a great question. Sometimes we're just a little bit moody. We're just not feeling so well. Maybe we do feel a little sad or depressed for a couple of days. That's all very normal. Most people go through cycles like that, especially if you're going through a lot of stressors in your life. There may be a point when your depression symptoms feel like they need a little bit more professional intervention, somebody to step in and to help you to manage these symptoms, like a mental health professional, a psychotherapist, or a psychiatrist who might prescribe some medication. And here's what you should know about a depression diagnosis. You should meet at least 5 out of these symptoms for a 2-week period of time continuously. That includes sad mood most of the day, nearly every day, a loss of interest in most or all activities you used to enjoy, feelings of worthlessness and excessive negative self esteem, irritability, disturbed patterns of eating, disturbed patterns of sleeping, having a lot of fatigue even when you're resting, having difficulty making decisions or concentrating, even a very severe symptom of feeling like you want to hurt yourself or wanting to take your own life. Now, if you have any of those last symptoms, you need to call a professional right away or call the National Suicide Hotline, which is confidential. And that number is 1 800 273 TALK, TALK, or you can text 988 at any time, 24 hours, 7 days a week. If you have those symptoms continuously for 2 weeks or more, at least 5 from that list, and there's not anything else that would really explain why you're having these symptoms, then it's time to reach out to a professional to see if they can help. Now let's move on to the actionable tip segment. Now, whether you have clinical depression or you just feel ups and downs of mood instability from time to time, or you're just looking for ways to improve your mood on a daily basis and feel well, here's an acronym that will help you remind yourself of some specific activities you can do every single day to improve your mood wellness. And the acronym is SMILE. Each of these letters stands for something you can do to improve your mood. S stands for stay active. So engaging in regular physical exercise, even if it's brief, 5 to 10 minutes a day when you're busy, that will really help you to boost your mood and energy levels. When you have the time, aim for 30 minutes of some type of light or medium cardiovascular activity. M stands for mindfulness. Now, my favorite way to practice mindfulness is practical mindfulness. This means that you're doing activities that you would already otherwise do, but you're doing them with a singular focus without also trying to multitask. My favorite way to be mindful is to drink coffee mindfully in the morning. You can also wash dishes mindfully. You can take a few bites of your food mindfully. You can even take a shower mindfully. So get creative and think about what you can do every single day. I stands for interact with others. Social interactions, especially quality ones. So, quality, not quantity, is what really helps us to improve our mood and helps us to stay connected, feeling like we're part of a bigger community. So, pick up that phone, text or call a friend that you haven't touched base with, and make a quick date for this weekend. Something quick that you can do together, shared activity, go grab a quick meal. Just make sure that you're infusing these into your life on a regular basis. L stands for light therapy. So, As we talked about earlier in this podcast, too much light can actually be an issue too. So, really think about moderation here. For most people, somewhere between 1 to 3 hours of direct sunlight is plenty for them to balance their mood. You don't want to have too much and you don't want to have too little. If you are interested in light therapy, you can just do it the old fashioned way. Get out in the sun and just get a little sun. Make sure to put on your sunblock. But you can also buy a little light box. These are available at regular retailers everywhere. They're available on Amazon. So you can check it out. They're usually somewhere between $50 to $100, and you can set them to different settings of brightness. And also, they have a timer so that it shuts off at a specific time once you're done with your light therapy session. And E is eat well. So, eating nutritious foods, focusing on the nourishing quality of foods, that's super important. Eating mindfully, here's another way that you can have practical mindfulness, but just make sure that you're eating well and making great choices to nourish your body and your mind. Thank you so much for tuning in to Mental Health Bites with Dr. Judy. I so appreciate you being here. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. For more mental health videos, you can check out the selection on my YouTube channel. And I want to hear from you. So make sure to write a comment with your questions, what you liked about the podcast, and I will make sure to take all of that to heart and think about what we can plan for next in upcoming episodes.